Hello, everyone. Welcome. It is Tuesday, March 8th, 2022. I am Sally Blue Sister, and this is My Turn to Talk. Frankie, you're number one, and Bahram, you're number two. Welcome. And I'm sorry I started later today. And welcome, Michael Key. You are number three. Okay, so I'm going to get started. The topic today is the world as stupid as you'd like it to be? The world is very vast, yet very small. Lots of people and thoughts influence a lot of people. How gullible are we really? And welcome, hey, look, that's me. So I've been watching a lot of shows. I watch all types of news, and I know Bahram always says, turn off your TV and what have you. But I watch a lot of different news shows across the board, and and I also watch just a lot of different shows like dramas and what have you. And it's interesting, some of the things that they talk about, with their storyline. And I, really started to think that and having conversations with some of my friends, and other people, how gullible are humans? Not Americans, not people from the UK or from wherever you are, but how gullible are we? And and are we gullible or are we stupid? And what I mean by that is, a lot of things that are put out there, depending upon who you listen to and what you listen to, they count on us, the people, buying into what they're saying. And again, I'm not saying one particular group or another particular group. I'm talking about just everyone as a whole. When you go somewhere, if you go to a party or if you're at work or, just if you're just in your backyard having a, barbecue, whatever, and you're talking to people, are you counting on them being gullible or, just buying into everything thing that you're saying? And when people, are on the air, or even if you're, doing a TV show like SWAT or Charlie's Angels or whatever. I'm just throwing, different things out there. How are these shows purposely destined to turn our minds to think a certain way? So do these shows count on us being gullible and stupid? And I hope I'm explaining myself the way that I want to. So that's my question. I really don't have any more in terms of a lead in, but these are things that I think about sometimes when I'm watching various shows, no matter what that show may be. Welcome, Class One Pro. Okay, so if anybody wants to jump in on the conversation or tell me that I'm totally don't know what I'm talking about or whatever, you're more than welcome. So, and I also want to know if you think being gullible and is gullible and stupidity, are those the same thing? Are they on the same track? Are they not? What do you guys think? And Michael T, welcome, welcome. What would you like to say?
So I don't know how often you've been in my show, but I have a saying that I always, and I'm going to coin this, but since I talk about economics a lot and we talk about resources, right? Something I always say is the only unlimited resource in this world is stupidity.
That
And
makes sense.
I don't know. To be honest, we would hope that the world is not as stupid as it is sometimes. Stupid's. Oh, sorry if you hear that. I have a guy doing donuts outside of my house right now with cars. But so gullible and stupid are almost synonymous in a sense. Stupid's more of like the insult version of it. If you stupid is considered like lack of intelligence or common sense, gullible is easily persuaded, very trustful, but that you can be, if you're gullible, you can be stupid for being so gullible because you're just automatically willing to accept everything that's being told to you. I think that is a big problem in this world. I think that even gullible people know that that's a big problem in this world.
Okay, so Michael, let me ask this then. Do you think that people who are gullible know that they're gullible, and do you think the people who are telling them or feeding them whatever they're feeding them whatever, do you think that gullible people need someone to tell them, hey, you need to, are you, for lack of a better word, are you really that stupid to believe everything that this person's saying?
So
You
I
understand what I'm
think,
saying? So
yeah, yeah. So I think they need someone to tell them. The problem is you also have to factor in stubbornness with all of this. Think about someone like I'm conservative, right? Everyone knows this. And so I have my ideals and my beliefs. But I also like to, look at both sides. And I think I'm pretty open to different opinions. And I'm also well aware that when I go and I watch like Fox News, that they lie just as much as CNN does. But you have some people that are conservative that only believe what's told to them on Fox News, and CNN's always lying, right? And when you go and you tell them, no, Fox is lying about this, or this other person's lying about that, they won't believe it, and they just think you're crazy. They're not
Okay,
open
so
to the fact
okay,
that
but my next question is why?
I think it could be a couple different things. Either they're, like I said, they're stubborn, okay, or they don't want to take the time to hear anything else, so they don't ever get another opinion. Or I don't there's when I work in finance and I do a lot with numbers and economics, and there's certain things that I believe in, yes, and a lot of it's theoretical, but when you go back and you look at how certain things don't work, yet people just choose to live by that way of thinking, or that, look at how many people go buy cars and take out a $30,000 loan for a car, right? And they only make $30,000 a year, but they think
True.
they're doing the right thing because, well, I got a really good interest rate, and this is what I've been told, and they do certain things, right? I'm paying $500 a month for this car instead of just paying, $10,000 cash and not having any debt. Like, there's just certain things that have been beat into our head that we don't want to accept any other way of thinking, and they want to be right. And I think it's more of a stubbornness thing.
Okay, now you said something that I'm going to come back to, but I want to go to Bahram and get his take on it, and then I'm going to come back and ask you my next question. Bah, what would you like to add?
I'm so sorry. I got called away just as your show was starting, and when I came back, Michael was already talking, so I missed the whole intro.
That's
I
okay.
left the phone. Yeah.
Basically, just is the world, full of gullible, stupid people? I mean, is the world really as stupid as it seems? I mean, that's basically it.
Yeah. I think I touched upon this last night where I said like people are like sheep and they just follow whatever they're told on the TV and they don't question it. So I don't know if that fits into tonight's conversation so far. I heard Michael talking about, conservatives sometimes just watch Fox News and that's what they believe wholeheartedly. And then there's obviously the other side who watch like BBC or CNN and believe that wholeheartedly. And I always say this on my show is like, you've got so many people in the world that they have their set beliefs, and what you'll find is they've probably developed those beliefs from either three probably main sources. One, your immediate family, your parents. Two, your education, your school. Or three, the media. And until you hear both sides of your beliefs, like there's always two sides to every story, there's always two sides to an event that's happened or whatever. Until you equip yourself with both sides, I don't believe your opinion is your own. I always say that is what is called indoctrination, because you're only seeing one side. And there's so many people like that out in the world today, where when they're confronted with the other side, they just, you see the cogs turning in their brains, and it's like, where are you getting your information from? And I'm like, well, there is two sides, So, hats off to the people that are willing to, check out alternative information and even listen to the other side and what they're saying, because I think those people are few and far between.
Okay. All right. So Michael, I would like for you to reply to what Boss said, but also you were saying that you work with numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So can I assume, and again, I'm just asking this question.
Yeah.
Can I assume that numbers for you are facts? That when you deal with numbers, you're basically dealing with facts?
Not always. It depends what numbers you're talking about. If you're saying, because especially when it comes to economics, it's all theory, right? You're taking numbers and you're plugging them in, but you're interpreting numbers as well. And you're interpreting statistics. So a fact would be, and I know that like this weekend, we're going to have the whole, the gun debate, but let's just say like a fact to that would be, 45,000 people died by firearm in the United States in 2021, right? Fact, that's recorded. The what's not necessarily fact is the interpretation of that. And when you start breaking it down, and then people start creating narratives, you see where I'm getting at? That's why we have difference of opinion, because if you just had, we all can agree, yes, that's how many people died. But then when you start looking at the whys and the ifs and the buts, that's where you start having differences of opinions. That's where people need to look at both sides of the story.
Okay.
So numbers aren't always facts. It's just a measure, and it's a starting point.
Okay. So the other part of my question then, because I wanted to understand which, in terms of how you look at numbers. So when we're talking about people being gullible and what have you, let's take COVID. I mean, that's something that everyone hopefully on this planet knows about is COVID. Whether you believe in, mask or don't, vaccines or not, whatever. Now I want to ask you science versus numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So you just told me what your, theory on numbers are. What about science? So if let's say Dr. Fauci came out and said, well, I'm basing he did pretty much. I'm basing everything that I'm saying on science. Then you have somebody else come out and say, well, I'm basing everything on numbers. Are we being gullible because we believe the person who believes in science, or are we being gullible or stupid that we believe in the person that believes in numbers? You understand where I'm trying to go? I'm trying to go.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. And here's the thing: science is numbers, right? Science is derived from numbers. What do? They're doing experiments. They're getting, especially with COVID, right? They're getting statistics. They're trying to piece those statistics together and tell a story with those statistics. You're not gullible for believing the numbers. What you're gullible for is not looking as to, okay, when you're doing a statistics, we have 330 million people in the United States, right? here's what's known. They keep track of everyone that got tested, and they keep track of everyone that got vaccinated. Let's just assume that. I'm not saying it's true, but let's just assume that. Okay. So that's a recorded number. But what they're not telling you is that it's very difficult to base decisions and start keeping stats for 330 million people. So what do? They go and they start doing data pools, or there's a formal term, but they're only going to take like 10,000 people. They're going to survey them, and they're going to get those answers from those people. And then they're going to say, okay, the breakdown of these 10,000 people is going to be a similar breakdown for the entire country. But there's so many variables that change with that could skew that how accurate that information actually is. If they were going by the science, then why would they have ever locked down anyone that was, between the ages of 18 and 45, right? And why would they have forced them to get vaccinated? Because they weren't the ones that were really being affected. They needed to focus maybe on the elderly population.
Okay, so let me ask this, because I listened very carefully to what you just said, and you will not hurt my feelings if the answer is yes, because I'm asking the question. So would you consider me gullible because I did get vaccinated and I am boosted and I do wear a mask? Would you put me in the gullible group, or would you put me in the stupid group?
No, I wouldn't put you in either. See, gullible can also be irrational. If you make a decision based off of information that you have known that fits for you, not everyone's the same. Okay. If you got vaccinated, right, you may have a better reason than maybe myself. I got vaccinated, but I didn't get vaccinated because I was worried about the virus. I got vaccinated because for me to go to Australia and see my girlfriend, they were going to make me have a vaccine.
Okay.
Right? Okay. So everyone has different reasons. So it doesn't put you as gullible. And gullible is, I'm telling you to do something, or Putin's bad. Okay, Putin's a bad guy because the news told me. That's gullible. There's no basis behind it. You didn't go research why he's bad. You didn't go look at everything leading up to the invasion to see, okay, is he really bad, or is there other underlying causes? Right? That's the difference.
Okay. Bah, you want to join in on this? Science versus numbers, or what I said, or what Michael Key says? You want to push back on anything you want to add?
I liked how Michael answered your question. It was a really good answer, because he's totally right with people have different circumstances, and it might suit them to get to wear the mask and to get the vaccine, and I looked into the numbers, and obviously my age group and even below, I think it was something like, if you're less than 45 years of age, you are more likely to die from being struck by lightning. So for me, that's kind of things that I looked at and thought, am I going to take a shot? And technically it's not a vaccine, it's a shot, and it hasn't got any longevity trials. They skipped human trials and went straight to testing, and any other drug in the world that comes out, that they tell you this is a brand new drug, would you try it? Like, surely you would hold back and wait to see what happens with other people. Like, a lot of people that I know did. They were like, I'm not going to rush out and get it. I'm going to wait and see. And I applaud them for that, because that's critical thought. It's something that people are lacking, is looking at the facts, looking at the data, and making up their own mind, rather than running out, getting it, and slapping a display picture on your Facebook saying, I got my vaccine. It's like more it's like a movement more than a critical thought thing. It's like, I've done my bit for the world and all that. It's became kind of like a symbol of my, well, I would say, for some people, I would say it's a symbol of your lack of intelligence. But I know a lot of people, like I said at the start, if you're going out and getting it, it might suit you, and you might need to, because you're maybe in that category where you have underlying illnesses and all that stuff. So not everyone, but I would just tend to not trust anything, and even that saying, trust the science, it's became a kind of phrase in the last year or so, trust the science, trust the science. That's a very scary thing to do, because if we trusted science, we would still be sticking needles through people's skulls to fix their migraines, and we would also be trusting, what is it, thalidomide, and that tobacco is good for you, and countless times where science has been wrong. So I always say, look, the track record of these companies, Moderna, Pfizer, I think, is it Moderna that's had the biggest fine in court history.
Yeah.
They lied or something. They got a 2.4 billion or I can't remember. It was something crazy amount of money they had to pay back for lying about something. And these are the companies, and Johnson & Johnson putting asbestos in baby powder. It's like all the companies that you just would not trust, but yet, because it's kind of became so publicized, and because people are doing it, and it's kind of became a movement that all that goes out the window. All the critical thought goes out the window, and let's just go out and get our needles, get the needles in our arm. So yeah.
So Barbara, then let me ask you the same question. Do you think the world is stupid?
I mean, not everyone. I'll take myself instead of offending anyone, but I believe I was very stupid up until 5-6 years ago. I couldn't have told you. I mean, I knew who the Prime Minister of the UK was and the President of America, because, well, I mean, we all know, but I couldn't tell you. I didn't have any opinions on the world. I didn't know, much about how the world works or anything like that. Philosophy, I didn't know any of it. And I kind of went on a journey by myself. Like, it was just because I got fed up listening to the radio at work, and the same 20 songs on repeat in the workshop. It just drives you insane. So I asked, someone says, like, you should start listening to podcasts, and I got into a philosopher and kind of went through a bit of self preservation, self knowledge about myself, and how your parents are with you when you're a kid, and how it shapes you into the adult that you are. And I seen flaws in myself that I also seen in my parents. So that was the first step. Then I got into politics and developed my views, and then it kind of slowly progressed into like conspiracy theories. And I mean, I know when you say the conspiracy theories and the tinfoil hat, it's like, it sounds so cuckoo and like crazy, but a lot of people in this room, and even including yourself and Michael, like, a lot of the things you guys are saying is conspiracy theory. It's like we all agree that the government conspire. Like, for example, I said today in the canteen, someone was saying it's $6 an hour, $6 a liter for fuel in some places, and I said, well, that's one way to get people to buy electric cars. And they all looked at me, and I said, look, I've been telling you guys for months, if not years, that by 2025, 2030, we'll all have to have electric cars. Now, that is a conspiracy. The government have conspired by using like tools like war and other things to get us all to eventually go into to buy electric cars. That is conspiring. Conspiracy is real. And I think it gets mixed up with a lot of the crazier conspiracy theories like aliens and flat earth and 5G, like all those crazier ones, which I'm not saying are not true. But conspiracy happens every day, and the government are the best at it. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with some of the things you say, and I disagree with some of the things you say. I do agree up to a point that conspiracies are happening every day. That when we have conversations with people, we may be I mean, is everybody's opinion a conspiracy? Would you say that, Balaram?
No, I mean, your opinion on how you feel, but you can't govern on opinions. I think we touched upon this either yesterday or one of your previous shows and I was dying to say this analogy, where opinions, let's take someone that lives in Baltimore in America. Their opinion of the police must be very low, because it seems like almost every week or every weekend there's shootings and police are killing people almost. Now, someone that lives in Baltimore are going to think that the police are evil and all that. So you can't then govern a whole country on what you feel because you live in Baltimore. You have to take facts and statistics. So it's not always your reality isn't what everyone else is seeing. So your opinion may be valid to you, but it's not necessarily the way to govern or to make rules or laws or anything like that.
Okay. Michael?
No, I agree. Let me ask you: the quarterback that wins the Super Bowl, does he always have the best statistics during the year?
No.
So how come if numbers are the end all be all, and those statistics, like this plays into COVID, this plays into a lot of different things, right? If those numbers are the end all be all, then why isn't the person with the best statistics winning the championship every year? And it's because there's more to the story, right? There's more variables that play into that. It's the same thing like with
yeah, of course.
You know what I'm saying? So a gullible person would say, well, this quarterback with the best statistics is the best quarterback, right? But why isn't that quarterback winning? Or why isn't so there's a lot of there's just always more of the story. And I like what Barham, you said, you can't govern off opinion, because if we governed off opinion, then we would be really screwed up. And that's on both sides, right? There's certain things that you have to look at laws, you have to look at facts, you have to look at numbers, you have to look at so many different variables. If you have a police force, there's some cities where police are more corrupt, or towns where police are more corrupt than others, right? Maybe if you had, and I'm just making this up, but let's say a border town on the Mexican border is being paid off, the police in that town are being paid off by people, wanting to run drugs up through the country. And let's say 80% of them are corrupt. Does that mean that the same 80% ratio for all other of the police forces doing that in the country? No. So you can't make laws based off of that either. That's why we have a republic instead of a democracy as well, so that you have all that representation. The gullible part, though, is when you hear the news start portraying that, oh, all the cops do this, and everyone believes it. That's watching that news story, and they don't look at the reasons or the differences and what's going on.
Okay, so looking at the variables that are out there, and Bahram says that you cannot run a country on an opinion, and the variables that are out there, and the people who are running everything, are they playing? Do you think that they are playing on the variables to attract gullible and stupid people to believe what they're saying?
Yes. So I brought this up. Again, I'm a conservative. On Facebook, I am a part of a bunch of like conservative groups, and and a lot of it's for humor. They like posting funny memes and stuff. But one thing was pretty consistent before Ukraine was invaded. First of all, we know gas was higher than it was before, right? Gas has been going up for the last year, and it was like $3.30 here. I don't count 2020, but going back to 2019, I want to say I was paying like $2.10-ish, so it's higher. And people were blaming Joe Biden for that. I'm not saying it was his fault. I'm just saying that that's who the conservatives and the people I see on Facebook were blaming. Joe Biden for the gas prices. Ukraine gets invaded, and we start saying, okay, well, Russia's this big oil importer or exporter. It's going to increase gas prices. The Biden administration was saying that as well. They said, look, if we put these sanctions on it, gas is going to really go up. But it's already been going up. But now that gas prices have shot up. What I'm seeing is that those same people that are blaming Joe Biden are now blaming Russia. And so what I think is that did the Biden administration want Ukraine to get invaded? Absolutely not. But don't think they're not having that conversation saying, look, we don't want this to happen. We're going to try and have it not happen. But if it does, we can spin this narrative with the stuff going on in the United States with inflation and the gas prices, because that was his main negative to that administration so far. And we can spin it, take the heat off of our shoulders and throw it on to Russia. And eventually when these midterms come along or that gives us either extra time to try and work it out and maybe fix that problem, or that problem's still going to persist, but we're just going to keep pushing Russia and blame them and get it off of us and have people forget that it was doing this beforehand. So don't think that, it may not be like a direct causation, but they're going to use that. There's a way that if someone gives you lemons, you make lemonade kind of deal. Same goes for how politicians run the country, right? If something is a negative and they get that opportunity, even if it's a bad thing, they're going to at least look at it. Well, how can we spin this and make it work in our favor? And I think that kind of goes to like what Bob was saying, and using also going back to using those variables. And that's like the conspiring that I think about with the government as well, because most of them want to stay in power. They do things to get votes, and we see that because we have people that stay in these offices for 40 years.
Okay, so let's get off of the government for a moment, and then we can come back to it. So, with the same variables go into play for something like Apple. Okay, Apple releases a new iPhone or whatever, and especially when iPhones first came out. When iPhones first came out, everyone was standing in line. Then when the iPhone 2 came out, you saw these long lines. So does the same thing happen? Do companies, plan on the consumer being gullible and stupid in order to buy their, things? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
So would you say that also happens in our personal lives? That I'm not going to say that your parents, think that you're gullible or stupid, but when my son was younger, in order to get him to go to sleep, I would always say, because he always knew that he had to go to bed before I did. And even if it wasn't even his bedtime, if it was like, if I was really, really tired at that time, my son did not know how to tell time. And I would tell him that it was like his bedtime for him to go to bed. So am I, does that also go into the home? Like, are you counting on your children to be either gullible, and I hate to use the word stupid, but I'll say gullible, in order to achieve your own personal goal?
Yes.
Okay.
But also, so this goes back to intent. And I always talk about this, right? What was your intent for making him go to bed? Is it because it's good for him and he needs to sleep? Yes. So it's okay to maybe use a form if you know that he's gullible or he's going to believe you, and you know that it's good for him if he goes to sleep, then yeah, he's gullible, but it's not necessarily a bad thing that you're doing that. It's all about intent, using that gullibility. So people, I think we can establish a lot of people are gullible in this world. There's no doubt about that. But it's the intent and how people actually take advantage and what's the word I'm thinking of? But yeah, they take advantage of that. They take advantage of people.
Okay. All right. Bob?
I actually think, Michael Key, you were on with Jester and Crucible Man on Jester show at the weekend there, and you guys were talking about something that just came to my mind, where you were talking about how all these fast food chains work out where the most welfare is going into, and they will set up shop in those towns or cities. And that to me is kind of an example where, these big organizations, big corporations like Apple, and I mean, like the fast food industry as well, they're conspiring against us for their own means. It's like corruption. It's like and as well, I kind of have to sympathize, because everyone's out there to make a buck or two. But that's just an example of how the world works and how governments work, how corporations work, and how, even your analogy with your kids, we do rely on our kids to be, more subservient than stupid. I would hope it's more like, because we know what's better for them when they're young. So yeah, it was just a good conversation I was listening to at the weekend with you guys talking about that, and it was, it's something that you don't actually think about that goes on. But in my hometown, it's a small ghost town now, and there's all these KFCs, McDonald's, Starbucks, Costa coffees all popping up in the last 5 years, and you're like, why? Because there's nothing here. But it's like, because that my town has no industry, there's only really maybe 20, 30 shops, and most of them are like secondhand shops, charity shops. There's one sports shop. So you're like, why are they setting up Costa coffees and Starbucks and all these fast food industries at the edge of the town? And it's probably because of that, because they know a lot of these people are on welfare. And when you're on welfare, the government sees you as you're more likely to be, not cooking your food at night. And, they're prying on people like that. So it just gives you a little insight into how the mind works, how their minds work anyway.
There's so many good examples of
Wait,
this.
wait, one
Go ahead.
moment, Mike. Chill. I know you're trying to get in, but I can't see you on my panel. So can you exit the show?
I
Okay.
think I'm here though.
Okay. Now, okay, you literally just popped up. Okay. I'm sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
Oh no, you're good. And like Bahram, you brought up another good example, right? There's so many good examples of this. This is one I experienced. Talking about the fast food. Now I'm not on welfare or anything, but let's say you go to McDonald's. It costs you for a meal, just for me, and I'm single. Let's say $7-8 for a meal that's gonna satisfy me. I can go to Kroger, buy a top sirloin steak and a bag of frozen vegetables for $1, and come out and pay the exact same, if not a little bit less, for the steak and the frozen vegetables for that night's meal than I would going to McDonald's paying for that night's meal. So the gullible thing, though, we always hear is that, well, I eat fast food because it's just cheaper. I can't afford the good food. Or I eat the bad food because I can't afford the healthy food, when in reality, that's not true. The healthy food actually can be purchased as for the same amount, or maybe even a little cheaper. But it's all perception. And I think a lot of that plays into maybe these, McDonald's has always marketed, the $1 value meal. You go to Taco Bell, and you used to be able to get the 50-cent tacos or the 70-cent tacos. But usually when you go to there, you're not just getting the one hamburger, you're getting more. And it draws you in. But because you see the prices of the single small items, it's being gullible, though, and not realizing that all that stuff still adds up, and you could still eat healthy. The only difference is that you're getting it immediately cooked for you at the fast food restaurant. You're not having to take the 15-20 minutes to cook it at the house.
So why do you think people do that? Because I can honestly say I have not bought any fast food in a very long time, and the last time I went out to a restaurant was when I went with friends. I don't eat out because it's expensive, and it just makes sense for me to, like you said, make it at home. Plus, I have leftovers for the next day. So if we know this, why do we continue every single day? Millions of us, we continue to play into the same game every single day.
Because it's advertised to us on TV, right? It's advertised to us out and doing wherever. And I'm a capitalist. I'm 100% a capitalist, right? But again, people need to be able to see past what they're seeing with the advertisements. People need to realize, like, maybe McDonald's isn't so cheap. They're looking for convenience. Yeah, that's fine. But that doesn't mean it's cheaper than eating healthy. That doesn't mean that it's cheaper at all. I mean, and there's so many examples of this. You brought the iPhone. Is the iPhone better than the Android? Well, some people believe so. Some people don't. It can be seen both ways. But yet investors, show that Apple is better than any other phone company because of how much they're willing to pay for the stock. There's so many examples of is it gullibility? I guess it would be the play on that word, right? But of people being gullible. And as far as, are they stupid? I think stupid plays in the lines of not wanting to address how gullible you actually are, or not. That kind of, it goes back to like the stubbornness, right? and it's kind of hard to like really explain because there's just so many different ways to. An
Yeah, I
example,
mean, I like what you just said, that being stupid could be not wanting to address how gullible you are. I mean, I actually like that. So, all right, Bob, if you don't mind, I'm gonna go over to Chill since he has come in. He's been waiting patiently. So, Chill.
Hey, what's happening, everybody?
Hey,
Awesome
Chill.
to hear from you and see you. So I think I'm delved into the conversation, at least at this point. I'm not quite sure the actual. I forget. I read it earlier, but I could forget. But overall, I do have some comments in reference to one question you asked, why we do the lazy stuff. I mean, we're less lazy. Americans are lazy. Period. Like, we're lazy. That's it. I mean, to the non least laziest person is still lazy compared to certain people in other countries. Like, the fact that we can go to fast food and get our, like, if you live in, I don't know, Costa Rica, you probably just can't go to McDonald's every day just because you can't, number one, afford it. For real, you can't afford it, and you just got to make your food. You know what I'm saying? Certain places you might have to get up and literally go out and get your food and then come back and cook and fix it. Right. So we're just lazy. We're comfortable, and that's a mindset, right? And that when you get that mindset, that is almost detrimental to try to remove some people from that mindset because of they so spoiled, like a rich brat or something. They might be a rich brat, and you might think like, oh man, they ain't got no problems, but they really do because they're used to this lifestyle. And you take it away from them, they don't know what the fuck to do. And it's like you like, I mean, they're like you like, oh man, you just gotta wash your own car, or you gotta just cook your own food. That's a shock to the human brain. So to be able to adjust and adapt to whatever shock it is always a interesting thing. Can you actually do that? It's easy to face things when you're not in adversity. You know what I'm saying? So in reference to that, I think we just lazy, and we don't want to go. I don't want to cook every night. I'm not doing that. You can, and I disagree. I think going out, especially if it's just one or two people now, going out to get food is way cheaper than actually experiencing, like, to go out and cook it. Because how much food did you go out and cook? Just as much as you can spend, you go out and cook it and don't eat it. It's leftovers, but you're not eating that 3-4 nights in a row. So you go out and spend $25 on a meal when you could have probably spent 15 at Chipotle. And so you don't even eat leftovers. You just go, this stuff sits. How many times you go somewhere, you buy some fruit and you don't eat it, and it just sits there and rots for the next 3 days. You meant to eat it, like, it just, so you throw that out, and then there's the stuff in the the tomatoes that go bad, the potatoes that go bad, like, and then you just throwing this stuff out because it's just sitting there. So we waste just as much as we might invest in, and which is food. But for places like, where I grew up at, it's definitely cheaper because to go to get a grocery store is probably like 10 minutes away. McDonald's is literally a walk up from the corner. You know what I'm saying? The corner store that sells the fried chicken is right there on the corner. You know what I'm saying? So there's such thing as food deserts, and that's on purpose. You know what I'm saying? So I do think that's on purpose, and that's why McDonald's sets up. They probably go out their way to make sure they set up because there's no grocery stores or legitimate that sell fresh foods that, or like places like that in that area. So of course you can take advantage of that. And the corporations, it's not like it's their fault that they're smarter than us. It's our fault that we just, like you said, being lazy half the time. Because I'm pretty sure 90% of the shit stuff in our house is probably bad for us. The phones and the headphones we use radiation, like, to the umpteenth degree. Then we got this microwaves. Then we got the TV. Then you got the whatever else you got in there, and it's probably all bad for you in the long run. So we just don't even think about it. We just want things to be okay because we kind of like we're here, but we don't necessarily know a quality of life, a different quality of life, unless we without that. You know what I'm saying? So it's the convenience of it. I mean, so we're sacrificing our health for convenience, and that's all around the board. That's just a normal. You just accept it.
Okay. Okay, let me go back to Bob because I saw his comment. So Bob, what do you want to say, and then I'll go to Raccoon 6.
It was just a quick comment when you were asking Michael about why do you think people on welfare go for fast food, and it was I think it's more because people
I
on
didn't say
welfare.
people on welfare go for food.
What did you say?
I
You
didn't say
said something
anything
around
about.
that.
I didn't say anything about welfare. No, no. I was saying, why do you think that you know, people continuously will go and eat out, and they'll go
Oh,
and they'll,
okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So miss out the welfare then. But
Okay.
what with my with my point, it was, you know, that they set up fast food restaurants, and now that Jester's in, you know, it was him that brought it up. He knew all about the statistics and all the things that these fast food places like McDonald's, KFC, they set up in areas on reflection of who is mostly on welfare. And just to make a point, it was just because they see people on welfare as the more likely to go to them. Like, it's obviously for their, you know, for their money, and they're more likely to, like, it's going to be single parents with multiple kids, or people that don't work, and they're maybe just lazy in general. So that's what they'll do. They're like prying on people. And then it was just, again, to touch on some back to like COVID, when they were locking everything down here in the UK. They were like locking down restaurants, but yet these fast food places were staying open. So you know, that was a huge telling story to me, that during a lockdown and a pandemic, that your health is under attack. That they are basically saying, you guys can go and eat at McDonald's and KFC and Burger King, but you can't go and eat a decent meal at a restaurant where you could have like a steak dinner or something. You know, it's things like that that kind of show the government up for who they are. Like, that they, you know, if they really cared about us, wouldn't they ban fast food? Or, you know, I mean, ban seems strong because the option should be there. We need our freedoms, but at least lock down those as well. You know, it's like those kind of things really show up the government for who they are, and how they don't really care about our health. So it was just that to throw that in there.
Okay. All right. Raccoon Six, welcome. You're the first time to my show. Welcome, and you have the mic. Thank you for waiting patiently.
Panel and everywhere. Oh, excuse me. I've been okay. I've seen the green flag come up on my thing there. Yeah, a lot of people here know me, and they know my stance on a lot of things. One of the things is that we've been coddled too long, and we've become creatures of comfort. We don't like to do certain things because our society tells us we don't have to do those things, and we shouldn't be doing those things, so it never gets done. And people are going to have to start coming together and helping each other out. Hell, give some food to homeless people now and then if you see them. You know, I mean, it doesn't hurt anything to spend a couple extra bucks on somebody. I do it quite a bit myself. I'll give to somebody who's more needy than I am, or counting pocket change out to pay for that last few dollars of groceries. But people are taught these things through education at home and at work or in schools. Don't talk to those people. You're above them. We ain't above anybody. We need to get the messages out about this stuff that is really plaguing our society. And one of them is fast food, because it's poison. I could tell you some things that are nightmares, and people say, "Oh, he's talking out his butt because he don't do research." I've done the research. I know where it's at. I know what they put in the food. I know what they put in our drugs and every damn thing. And they're just trying to get rid of everybody by slowly allowing us to comply with their wishes, so they have their hands washed of the situation. I'll leave it. Oh, and one other thing. Situation and terrain dictate your emotions, your habits, and your using of anything in life.
Okay. Thank you very much, Raccoon 6, for joining in. Okay, before I move on, because I have another question, I want to read what Jester said. He says, you touch the cashier, she gives it to you. He's referring to money. At first, Jester said they kept the fast food restaurant open to spread the virus. Think about it: one person touching all the cash, all the cards, all the money. What better way to make it spread? Then Jester says, you touch the cashier, she gives it to you. No place to wash your hands in the car. Then you consume your food with your virus hands. All right. I agree with that. And people can laugh at me. I've had so many people laugh at me. My husband laughs at me when I go out the house, and I was doing this before COVID. I wear gloves because people are nasty. I'm sorry. You don't, and when you talk about money, you're right. This person has had it in their shoe. They've had it stuck down their pants. No matter where they've been sitting on it because it's been in their back pocket. You don't know where money has been. And money is one of the dirtiest things, in my opinion, to touch. And he's absolutely right. So I just wanted to throw that tidbit in. But let me ask this, and Michael, I'm going to start with you. Do you think that smart people are some of the most gullible? So that is my next question. Is Michael still on the phone? Let's see. Okay, I think Michael's still on the phone. So, Ba, I will go to you. Do you think that smart people are some of the most gullible?
I don't know. I know they're smart, and there's is it what's the saying again? There's smart and there's street smart, or something like that. So I mean, you could be really intelligent and academically intelligent, but you might not have much street smart or common sense. I would probably class myself in that bracket. I would say I'm quite intelligent, but in regards to common sense and things, it surprises me how I've lived so long. But I don't know if that kind of
And
answers your
you're
question.
so old.
No, I'm 30 odd, but I just mean, like, there's some people that just shouldn't be left at home by themselves, and I'm probably one of those. I don't know how I've managed to not burn the house down, but I don't know if that's the kind of thing you were kind of poking at. But yeah, that just because you're intelligent doesn't mean to say you're fully switched on. You can just be, because some of the most intelligent people in the world, you look at I know I keep bringing up the government, but I don't mean to, but it's like you look at those types of people, the experts of our world, even not the government, but the experts that we're listening to about all these social things that are happening in the world, and you just wonder where they're getting their stuff from. And that's where I could rant and rave about where they are getting it from, but you must have all seen it for yourselves. Some of the things that comes out of these people's mouths is just ridiculous. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay, Chill. The same question. Do you think smart people are some of the most gullible? You have the mic, Chill. Are you there? Okay, not sure what's going on with Chill. So, Raccoon, you have the mic.
We're all gullible to a certain point. I mean, hardworking person has a flat tire, he changes it. A rich person has no idea, so he calls somebody to do it for him. A lot of intelligent people tend to look down on others to be their servants. I mean, even though you might just be a school teacher or you might be a doctor or a lawyer, a lot of them can't do anything for themselves other than what their day in, day out thing is. I mean, we have gotten away from a lot of things that make us human, and also the things that make us more repetitive. And a lot of people don't see that. They just say, well, I'll just wait and have somebody do it. And if you find yourself in a bad part of town and you need to get your tire changed in a hurry, you better get your butt out there and change it, or the longer you sit there, the more chances you're going to be a target if that happens. I say if that happens. I've been in bad parts of town that was completely quiet. I mean, but we have to do our own decisions, but yet we have to live with our own decisions too. And a lot of people put their education over everything, and education is very important, but also being able to do what you're supposed to be able to do is even more important than that, like surviving anything that may come between today and next month or next year. It's up to us for our own survival and our own way of getting through it. That's all
Okay.
I got.
Michael, are you back? Michael? Okay, Bob, I'll go to you. Well, wait, hold on, Byron. Before I go to you, I want to read what Friday Kind of Guy said. He says, the first sheep in the gate could be considered to be the smartest of the sheep in the context of being a sheep. I thought that was an interesting comment. And then Jester says, to Grid, there's still a point to human contact. Could be the guy making the food, pouring the drinks, bagging up the food, taking the cash, or making contact with the food supplier doing deliveries. All right, so Bob, I'm throwing the mic back to you.
No, I think Raccoon hit the nail on the head as well. You could be very intelligent in your own field or in one subject, but when it comes to the rest of the world, you could be very gullible, and the only way to fix gullibility, if that's even the word, or gullibleness, would be to educate yourself and look into things, and there's not a lot of people willing to do that in today's world. We've all become lazy and reliant on other people, and even down to the another agenda that I like to talk about is like how they've got us all down to maybe a 10-second Snapchat. That's all the patience we have is for 10 seconds, or these TikToks that are, what are they, 10, 15 seconds as well. Well, that was all done by design, because whenever I send someone a video that's maybe 3 minutes long or 10 minutes long, it's like you just know they're not watching it because it's too long. And that's the value that they place on their education, their knowledge. The 10 minutes is too long to sit and watch a video or read an article. Like not a lot of people are willing to do that nowadays. So, when you look into the people behind these, apps and things, they openly talk about that's what they're doing. I heard today. Here's a good point. I took note of this today because I thought, wow, that's so. It's something that you don't actually think about, but then when you hear it, it's like that's crazy. But TikTok in America, seemingly the algorithm is set up to show us stupid videos or half naked women or children, doing stupid things, trying to be funny and trying to get internet famous. But in China, it's set up to show the Chinese citizens like science experiments and how to make money and how to be a good citizen. That's what they're shown. So when you hear things like that, it's like, yeah, how blatant can you get? That's how both countries are set up. So it's like they're dumbing down our world, the Western civilization, in the UK as well. We get the same, but yet meanwhile in other countries they're thriving. They're doing really well, and that's the kind of stuff I like to expose and wake people up to. And it is done by design. It's no accident. It's no, naturally occurring. That's the way the world's going to go. We are being pushed in a direction that suits the government and the people above the government.
Okay. Shell, before I go to you, Justice says, I wonder if there was a higher COVID rate in lower income communities where they have an abundance of fast food restaurants. I would say I don't necessarily agree with that, Jester, because I think with lower income, you usually have people of color, and I can't speak for Latinos, but I do know that for a lot of African Americans, a lot of people didn't want to get vaccinated, mainly because of all the thousands upon thousands of experiments that have been done on us. So I think that has probably more to do with it than fast food. So somebody can challenge that, but that's my own personal opinion. Chill, you have the mic now if you're back.
Yeah, I'm back. So just to comment the gestures, I don't think that I think you're probably right, but it's not because of fast food. If you kind of study, I mean, I've been studying like that a lot, and typically the vitamin D thing is a real thing from several, like even peer studies, like people who have underlying conditions or obese, like that have vitamin D deficiencies. I mean that's subsequently a lot of times that's in the hood or in the trailer park. You know what I'm saying? So you'll get that a lot. So I mean, yeah. But in general, I don't think you should equate it to vaccines or not. I don't think it's been proven that the vaccine is technically saving people, opposed to like the vitamin D deficiency maybe killing people. So, but that's just a scientific thing that y'all probably would want to go and look into yourself. But overall, I do know in general, Bahram spoke about the the uh, the TikTok, the attention span. I think they're doing that because I mean, these companies are brilliant, right? Like the NBA or NFL, sometimes they set the precedent on how to, go about things in the COVID era. You know what I'm saying? Because they have money. The government doesn't I mean, although the government has money, the way it's corrupted and get utilized is different from Microsoft or Apple being able to set up a department and do their thing. You know what I mean? So I think these studies are legitimate because they found out attention spans typically, when you're watching something, you're gonna pay 10 seconds. You know what I'm saying? And they're gonna come over here in America because we're free, like it's not the same. It's not the same. China, America is not the same. Period. So we gonna like free stuff. We're gonna have sex, drugs, rap, mindless stuff. I mean, of course, if that's what the logarithm says we like more, it's going to adjust and it's just going to be okay, cool. You know what I mean? I mean, you can call it psychological warfare, but I think to some degree, our own companies, not just China, our own companies utilize that whole objective on us. Period. So whether it's Facebook, I mean, they probably started it and they just learned from Facebook. You know what I'm saying? So those reels are often were put in place a long time ago with the Vine. When they learned that hey, this is how it is. Every 10 seconds, scroll the videos. It's just a human trait. So, but the initial question, which what you what was the question before that I missed? It was another
I
question
wanted
that I
to know,
missed you asking.
do you think that that smart people are some of the most gullible?
Yes, thank you. And that was the one I really wanted to address because I think if you're not smart people aren't gullible at all. I think smart people they're not gullible. No, I mean I think gullible. It's nothing dumb about being trustworthy. You see, so if I'm trustworthy, that doesn't make me dumb. I mean, it could make me dumb to some degree, but we're here. I'm put on earth to kind of be together and kind of put some type of optimism in each other. And you want to trust some person till you don't. And sometimes it's just silly and dumb. But social IQ is a monolith. It's you can be smart. I mean, or IQ, I should say. It's not it's not one way. It's not binary. It's you have social IQ. You got you can be able to read and do school shit, and then you got like you said, what is it, street smarts, and there's different types of IQs. And so, me being trustworthy in our government because that's what I was taught. I don't think that's necessarily being completely dumb, or gullible, I should say. I, that's just I think I almost apples and oranges to some degree, but I think smart people are smart and typically can see beyond the weeds, and they, just because you don't adhere to something, you might know something bad for you, still do it. I mean, habits. Breaking habits are different from being aware of something. So that don't mean that they're necessarily gullible. Some people know that they're about to, like I might know that this bum is about to go get changed to. He's about to go do whatever he wants to do with it. But it's not even about that. It's I think it's kind of apples and oranges. The question now, social IQ, regular IQ, reading IQ, like that. Those are all things that come into play when I think about IQ. So being gullible is more like a trust or not thing, and I don't know if that delves into being completely like smart or not. I don't know. I mean, to some degree, I guess, but I have to think about that more often, maybe deeper, to really come with a really definitive thought process on it. But it's something that's off for me about it.
Okay. No, because for me, it seems like that you have people who are supposedly book smart who aren't really that smart,
But
and
they ain't that smart then, right?
I mean, no,
That's all I was
because
saying.
because you also have, what Balaram said, you have your street smart, and then you have your, book smart, whatever. But I'm just saying that, you have these people who have these degrees, and, they speak a certain way, whatever. And people are like, oh, they're so smart. When really, they're some of the, excuse my way I'm saying this, they're some of the dumbest people.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
are.
Oh, I agree. Like I learned that, but like, I learned that at maybe 10 years old. So is that on them or that's on us?
I would say it's on us if we are gullible. Here comes this word again. If we're gullible enough
Right. So
to believe some of the stuff that they're saying.
absolutely. So that means we become them. If we're the same thing, and from a different projection. What we calling them, we are. If we just believe that, like I feel like once you know, once you kind of figure out how things work, you should know how things work. It just goes without saying. So, I mean, I learned that. Matter of fact, the probably most dangerous guys in the room is the most pristine, uh, you know, well spoken, perfect appearance, perfect person. I trust the person who got quirks. Any person that you feel like is weird and they can just do it in front of you and be comfortable with themselves, I trust that person way more than I trust the other person that just seems to be completely perfect. Like that's the person that got people in their basement. Like for sure. Like this person with the quirks, they showing you what they are. They're comfortable. You might shun them too. And that's the silliness, the dichotomy of it. It's like we might shun those people, we might make fun of those people, but they're being themselves. They what we say everybody should be. And when we get it, we don't want it though. You know what I'm saying? When it happens, we don't like it. We only like it in the kind of pill that looks like, you want to take. But when it's not the package we want it in, we just like to talk stuff about it. But this is what we asked for. We want the real. We want the straightforward. We want this. But as soon as it comes, oh, that's too much. You know what I'm saying? Then you get the other guy that's just totally pristine, does everything right, appears to be right, and then we call okay with that. While behind the scenes, that they're thinking and doing other crazy stuff. So I do believe that is wholeheartedly the way it is. And so us as a people, we got to kind of learn to not don't be silly.
Okay, so that brings me to the next question. Michael, are you back? Okay, he's probably still on the phone. Okay, so Bob, okay, I'm going to come to you. So Jill says that, as a people, we need to be better. Why aren't we? I mean, just why aren't we? Why do we still choose to believe the things that are put out there when we pretty much kind of know that it's a bunch of BS?
Just because the way the world's set up, the way that our lives are now, that it's hard enough, keeping a job and making it through a day. It kind of distracts us from taking care and preservation over our lives and our knowledge and our brains. And when we have children, life is a struggle, and it's been set up that way, because without getting too deep about it, like that's some of the best questions that I hear. And even I have the tendency to be like this, because I still kind of ask myself childlike questions. If any of you guys have kids that are around the age of like 10 or even younger, those questions that children ask are sometimes the most valuable, because they haven't gone through the indoctrination and the mind numbing, psychological warfare Chill will. So he said it well. Their questions are so raw. Like, for example, here's one that springs to mind. During COVID, one of the first things that was kind of going around social media was, why aren't the homeless people dying if COVID's so rampant? And true enough, like when I go down into the town centre, it's the same homeless people that I see week in, week out, and they're still there. And that's a kind of question that you would expect a 10-year-old to ask, walking down the street saying, Mum, why is that guy still there if COVID, he's sleeping out in the streets? And, I just think, these children haven't gone through it. And we have. And a lot of people just want to go to work, they want to earn a pretty penny, and they want to come home, enjoy a bit of TV, and then go to bed. And, this is kind of like my end saying a lot of the topics and arguments and debates is, there's a lot of division between people, whether you're white or black or whatever, or male or female, or any of these division tactics that they use. But what you'll find is, like I said to you at the very start when I first met you, Solid, if me and you were, was to meet each other in a pub, we'd probably have a great night, a great conversation, a few drinks, and there's no division there, because it's the media are highlighting the 1% of cases that do divide us. And what you'll find is, pretty much every person on this earth, all they want is to earn a penny and go a couple of holidays a year, or enjoy a bit of life, enjoy their weekends, and that's it. We don't have much to fight about, but the government will do that. I always say at the end of my podcast, turn off your TV, because it's a very polarizing thing when you're sitting there listening to, for example, you brought it up on one of your shows, I think last week, about the xenophobia after COVID, and Trump was, targeting China. And then, a couple of, I'm not downplaying it, because every time someone is violent, it's disgusting. But, they'll highlight the 1 or 2 times that a Chinese person has been beat up. And they'll make it sound as if it's a huge pandemic, that every Chinese person's life's at risk. And it's really not the case. And then again, with the tinfoil hat on, when you look into these individual stories, you'll find that there's more to it than just the fact that they were Chinese. That there was, they were maybe rude, or they deserved a punch. It's not that the media are just taking that story and just lying to us about it. Like, for example, again, I know I'm kind of rambling here, but the gay guys that went into about 12 different shops asking if they would get a cake made for them, in order to find someone that they would say no, and then they could sue them. So that's the type of things that go on in our world. And until you literally go and look and research them yourself, you shouldn't trust anyone. Don't even trust me. Go and anything that I say on these shows or on my own show, I want you guys to, if any alarm bells are ringing with anything I've said, go and fact check me. Go and check it out. But like I said, there's not a lot of people that are willing to do that.
You bring up a lot of good points, and I will say, I do know that those two guys, they did go around to various stores or bakeries to find an owner or baker, however you want to put it, to tell them no. And I personally think that their case should not have gone forward. They should have lost, but unfortunately, this woman, if I'm correct, she lost her bakery, and she went out of business. And my thing, for that is, in hindsight, if I don't want to do something for someone, because I have my own business that I run, and I have turned down some orders because of whatever. I'm not going to say whatever is, but you just say that you don't have time, you're busy, your schedule's full, whatever. Because nowadays, if you do come out and say no because blah blah blah, you are at risk of being sued from whomever. So if you tell someone that you don't have time or whatever, are they going to contest that you should have time? But Balaram, you did bring up some interesting points. So, Raccoon, I am going to you. Do you have anything that you would like to add?
People have to understand that they have the power over everything by learning. Education doesn't just come from a damn school book. It also comes from life experiences, your ups and downs. And people ask me a lot of times, how did you get the way you did to where you're at now? I said, what I did was I never give up. If I couldn't find a reason and nobody could tell me the answer, then I would hunt the answer down with a fever, find it, and orchestrate it. We are our own worst enemy, besides the government of any country. But they don't like the fact that if you have intellectual mindset to learn, get information out, and make people less wanting the government to come in and help them all the time, they wouldn't be in the positions they are either with anything that they have. I mean, take consideration, I don't like to pick on people, but take consideration, we have families of all colors on their 8th generational plug on staying on welfare because it's free. I make more money sitting on my butt. Well, the problem with that is there ain't no free stuff out there. Somebody's got to pay for it. Government don't just give it out for no reason whatsoever. Most of the time, sometimes they do, especially if it's for votes. But somebody's always paying for it. In the end, somebody had to put their hard-earned dollars and give up what their dream was for that month or that paycheck because they were told they have to give so these people can continue to live. A lot of people who sit around on their butts day in and day out doing absolutely nothing but watching a boob tube and cramming their faces full of daggone diabetes causing foods and not getting any exercise because they're scared to leave their house. Well, let them go, because if we get them out of the gene pool, we don't have to mess with that crap later on. The people who hard work, and I'm not talking about people who have disabilities. Hell, I'm disabled. But I done my disability serving my country because of the fact that we have freedoms here. And one of my freedoms was joining the military for 22 years, putting my life on the line so them people can sit on their butts and be non-productive eaters. Disabled people are a different class. Those people can't get out there. For some reason, they're not somebody who can maintain a job because of physical or mental disability. That's fine. We should take care of our people who can't take care of themselves. But the people who sit out there and blow their money going out getting drugs and more tattoos than my truck's worth, I have no use for them. They should go ahead and just lay down in the middle of a day, go on busy train yard and end it, because they're a drain on the entire system. And when people wake up and understand that things like that don't need to be here, they'll understand that a lot of people have been played all of our lives. I've never had a rich job, but I could probably pull some stuff over on a lot of corporate executives just because of the fact that I educated myself and I seeked education from other people who were like them and got the free education from them. I better stop there before I piss somebody off.
I'm just listening. I'm not pissed as long as you don't.
I know. I'm talking
call
about the
anyone
people
out
in
of
the
their
chat.
name or anything. So no, don't worry about
Well,
it.
no, it's just the fact that we are causing our own demise. People don't want to sit down and realize that everybody in this daggone country is being screwed over by the government, whether it's a war or a disease. What's next? The sun's going to blow out? I'm still waiting for one of the 28 damn meteorites to hit. It hasn't showed up yet, and it's been 3 years. People live on fear porn. I don't live on fear porn anymore. My fear porn was whether I was going to get out of a plane and parachute to the ground or live through the next firefight. But to fear what's going on right now, I have no fear of that or any man walking on this earth. And that's what we are away. That's what people are crazy about. Well, what if this? Well, if it happens, it happens. Just remember, there is no fair fight if you fight right. Take out your opponent with all the force you need, no holds barred. But on the other hand, if somebody's asking you for help, you should help him. Bend down and tie his shoe because he can't bend over. Pick up a cup he dropped because he can't reach down. Pay for a little bit of food for somebody now and then. Give him a shirt off your freaking back because you got plenty of them at home. He may not have a damn one of them in his bag. People are too fixated on labels. We label everything. Everything has to have a label or it's not the American way. There ain't no dumb people in the world. There's just some people that are more ignorant. I don't say stupid because stupid goes to the bone, but ignorant people can be taught a lesson. And that lesson will benefit them either way. Okay, I'm done my rant.
All right, Raccoon. Okay, Chill. I'm going to wrap this up. So, do you have any last words, or you want to push back on something someone says, or anything you want to add? You have the mic, Chill.
You hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
so that was a mouthful he said there. A lot of stuff I can fill him on. But I mean, in general, I do think that in order, you got to be what you want. You got to be what you want exemplified in the world. I've said it before. I'll regurgitate it every show because everybody's out of here the same people. Excuse me, but that's half the battle. And also sometimes when we help, we got to help not only the way we want to help. We got to help when it makes us uncomfortable. That's the only part I disagree with the homie Raccoon on. You know, you mentioned not giving up. So if you want to not give up, you can't. Not giving up is not giving up. You can't fight one way and then give up on people the other way. You not letting them have a chance for redemption if we get rid of all those people. You know what I'm saying? Because if I would have gave up on, I don't know, several amount of people, if I gave up on myself, I wouldn't be here today. Because I wasn't always. I mean, I'm not might not be where I want to be, but I'm damn sure ain't where I once was. So that's a fallacy. I mean, that's contradictory in some cases, but I do get the gist of what you were saying. And for the most people, I feel like, you know, being smart, we can be smart, but practicing these things, practicing getting up off the couch, being smarter. Byram said something that was awesome. We delve in our day-to-day lives. We have families, we have headaches, we got illnesses, we got jobs, we got to clean up, we got a plethora of things that we get caught up into. And so sometimes, although you know something, you might forget it, or might not, to develop your person sometimes comes last. To develop you know what I'm saying? I said it again, to develop your person, which things that you may know, like they might fall to the back burner. To change a habit, which is not an easy thing to do if you got your husband cheating on you or you got some kids to feed. now I got to worry about my temperament or patience or the government and how I can fight the government. Come on now. We got to be real with each other, you know what I'm saying, to some degree. So that's why it takes us playing our part. And then when we can't play certain parts that we believe in, support that person. You know what I'm saying? Support them. Support I don't know, whoever. If it's Trump, if you feel like he's doing the good, but that's the part. That's the part that's hard because it's oil and water, right? I might believe in something you ain't believe in. So that's where communication and just love, man, loving the next person, even though they don't see your way, even though you might think they're lazy. That's a psychological thing. People who are on welfare, you think most people on welfare just sitting around collecting? A lot of people don't want to be in the projects or the trailer park just chilling out every day. They're defeated. They have given up. Who gonna come in there and say, hey, come on, brother, you can do better. Let's show you better. They never conquered. They never accomplished. They might have been through a lot. So you got to think. You can't be that singular minded to think just because they're grown ups that and they're not autistic, that they don't need help. They don't have sicknesses. They don't have issues, and they're not deep rooted. So we all got to keep that in mind. And I think we kind of get self centered and get on our high horse, or everybody does it. Everybody does. I'm not an exclusion. So the thing is to keep us hold each other accountable, but don't get bent out of shape. Don't get bent out of shape. You know what I'm saying? Those are things that are important, and that right there, kind of between each other, between races, between cultures, between countries. That's the part that we got to kind of master. But the thing is, psychologically, once again, corporations, government, they know how to keep us separate, keep us on the race thing, keep us on a blue and civilian versus the blue bloods and whatever, Trump against the Bidens and which is really, we got way more in common. If we get in a room like Ba said, me and Solid Blue and Ba and Raccoon, we probably be in there kicking it, listen to the same damn music, whether it's rock or damn blues, kicking it, just loving each other. But then, watch the news and then it's all the shit. It's red, blue. Like both sides don't make no sense. So if we make that a norm, and that does, and the thing is also we have to have patience because it comes over generations. We started here, but we might not see the effects of what the fruit of your labor. This podcast might be worth $1 million 30 years from now, or 100 years, 150 years from now. It might be a Bible somewhere. It might be religion. Who knows? I'm not saying, what I'm saying, but you just sow your fruit and just keep at it the best way you can.
Well said. Michael, I'm going to go to you. I'm asking if anybody has any last words or thoughts. So I don't know how much of the conversation you were able to pay attention to.
So I apologize. I had a client call me for a while there, but I think I kind of caught a little bit of what Chawil was saying. I don't know what was said before that. The only really comment I had to him on that, is I think I agree with him that there are a lot of people, just because they're not, autistic or whatever, that they don't have something that they need help with. I agree. What I will say is that people act off of incentive. All right. Which is the reason why communism has never worked in our history, is because it took away incentive. I think that, and this is just my opinion, that we would be able to help people that need the help more if the people that are getting help, that are able to go work or are able to be productive, they're just not doing it. If we were able to minimize that and then allocate the resources we're giving to them to the people that actually need it. And that's kind of the way that I see that whole thing, right? Because I am well aware that people need help and that they have issues. I am all for helping those people, right? It's just, but when you have people that actually take advantage of that system, and there are those people, yeah, and that's where I don't want my money going to fund just that whole, the whole welfare system. If there's going to be people that are able to take advantage of the welfare system, because it's a waste of money at that point, right? There's a lot of jobs that maybe they could go do that our economy needs them to do. Like, you hear how many jobs have been created in the past year, and how many people are actually at home though that are taking advantage of certain programs that are more than able to go work and fulfill those positions, and the people that actually need help, like someone who, like, even insulin, right, or some kind of medical issue, or just someone that actually needs help, you would see that I think we all agree that and are all willing to help those people, but we get turned off on helping anybody when there's a lot of people that sit there and take advantage of that help too. And I think
Okay.
that's kind of how I feel about that.
Okay. No, you make some really good points. Raccoon 6, I'm going to go to you. You have any last words you would like to share?
Yeah, one thing, to show determination, you have to want to make that determination work. And I said it before, we have a lot of ignorant people who just decide they don't want to do anything. And I can poke at a lot of different classifications of people, but I'm not going to. But I will say this, under my own determination, I got off of drugs and alcohol 40 years ago. I've been clean ever since. I never went to one damn AA meeting or seek counseling, and I'm a success. And determination is what you make out of it. That's why they call it determination. Determine what you want out of it. If you don't want nothing, fine, don't do nothing. Somebody will be there to help you. Sooner or later, somebody will reach down there and pick you up and give you what you need. But if you have a determination to look at the other side and say, I want to be over on this side of the fence and not on that side of the fence anymore. I'm tired of having a needle stuck in my arm or a drink in my hand. You can make that determination. Nothing's impossible. Not in today's world anyway. It's proven many, many times over. Just look at the last 30 years. We didn't have internet. Now we got all kinds of internet. We got internet running out our ears. But it depends on what you want out of life is what makes you successful. Where you stop, that's up to you. Don't let nobody tell you you need to do this and you need to do that. But on the other hand, don't expect those people to be there every time you need a fix or you need food. If you're out there, somebody will help you. But why make an entire society have to pay for it day in and day out? That's my beef with it. Determined to do what you want to do and go with that and be happy.
All right. Well said. Ba, you have the last word. Well, not the last word, but you know what I mean.
This has been one of my, if not my favorite topic since I've been listening to your show. I could talk about this stuff for forever, and I put it into practice as well, because since getting into politics and philosophy and then conspiracies, I'm the type of guy that will go into the canteen at work at dinner time and test out how dumb we really are, and I'll ask questions. I'll talk about COVID. I'll talk about the Russia-Ukraine thing, and just see what kind of opinions are around the men that I'm working with. And it gets me down. Like, I know they won't be listening, but it really does get me down to how little that they are paying interest into these things. And there was one time where I was in the canteen and they were all, poking fun. And because that's what happens when you talk real talk, you'll find some people will leave the room, some people will turn to ridicule, because sometimes the truth's hard to hear, or sometimes people are threatened by intelligence and they have to downplay it, or they have to have the last say. So there was a time where I brought up, I had a little rant in the canteen saying that, like, everyone in the canteen, all these men are going home at nights and they're watching sports, or they're watching some soap opera or some reality TV program, and they're not paying attention to what's happening, with these, the pandemic that only happens every 100 years. It's something that gets me down a lot. It's like people need to start looking into things. And what Raccoon says about leaving people behind, and I kind of sympathize with that. Whereas the only thing I would say is there are people who seek knowledge and want to look into things, and those are the people that I'm more interested in, because there are people that don't want to be bothered with it. And I kind of respect those people as well, because ignorance is bliss. Like I said in my analogy of, we like to come home from work and slap on some TV and go to bed and not have to worry about the other extra, stresses of the world, because we have enough on our plates. But, at the same time, I'm fighting with myself with that view, because you have to have a view on what's going on right now, especially what's been happening in the last couple of years. So I think it's time, for those people that don't want to look into it and educate themselves. And I do side with Raccoon on that just, you're never going to wake everyone up, and they're going to have a rude awakening one day. And that's none of our responsibility either. We only have responsibility for our own selves. And obviously I extend that to my immediate family, and even some of those people in my family, they don't want to, look into things. They just want to take face value what the TV says. So, it's, you can only try, and that's all you can do. So thanks again for a great show. It's just, like I said, this has been one of my favorite topics that you've decided to talk about. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you. And thank you to everyone. I would like to mention again tomorrow's show. I am actually going to be just the administrator. The show is going to be done by Balram. He chose the topic. So he is hosting the show tomorrow. And the show tomorrow is, should non-parents be allowed to govern? Being a parent changes a person. It makes them think more about the future and make their life decisions with their child's future in mind. And then he adds, we've heard of term limits. So tomorrow's show, you guys want to join in, Bahram will be taking the helm and he will be controlling the show. And that's what that is. And then on Saturday, Bahram and I are going to be doing our second show on called Friendly Differences. This will be streamed live onto Twitch and YouTube. So if you're not on the panel, you do have the opportunity to join, go on to either Twitch or our YouTube or our Twitch channel, and you would be able to comment and ask questions and what have you. We do want this show to be more of a debate show. We both agreed that the first show we did, everyone was a little bit too nice. So Jester is going to be part of that show, Michael Key, Chill Will, and if you guys are familiar with Pook, he is going to be on the show, and the topic is going to be gun control. And again, that will be streamed live, and we will be on another platform where you will be able to see all of us, so you can put faces to names and everything. So I'm excited about that. So Bahram, do you want to add anything about tomorrow's show or the show on Saturday?
Yeah, just guys, please come along tomorrow and in support of me, because I'm going to need your help. And my hosting skills are not the best. That's why I don't have a show on Podbean. I'm more suited to the pre-recorded shows, but I'm working on it with the Friendly Differences show, and I'm really honored that Solid Blue has said, it was just out of the blue. I gave her that show topic, and she says, "Well, why don't you host it?" So I was like, put on the spot, but I'm going to embrace it. And please, guys, come along and help me out and fill the panel and help the show go along smoothly. And I'm really looking forward to Saturday's show. That should be really, really good as well. Yeah.
Okay, and another thing I wanted to add is, since Bahram and I have, decided to do the show together, we've been doing some test shows. We've been, doing some test shows to make sure that things are streaming correctly. And, are you able to do this? Can you see us on this? Are the comments coming through? And yesterday, when we were doing a test show after we stopped everything live and everything, and the two of us were just talking. We realized that the conversations that the two of us are having, on the platform, again, where you can see us, whatever, we got kind of into a back and forth, and we were disagreeing, whatever, but we were doing it in, again, a friendly way. And we realized that, there are times when, we need to go live just on the conversations that we're having just between the two of us, because it didn't get heated or anything, but he had his opinion and I have mine, and those were the kitchen table, I guess, talks that people have. So you guys may catch some of those every so often. And we also want to do some impromptu shows. So we also want to do some shows where we just say, hey, you guys want to, we need at least, 4 people. If you guys want to jump on, and we can talk about anything. So it won't be anything where we're going to talk about this, just about anything. And we want to do those at night. So having said that, I do want to say that Michael Key and Jester, I've been on both of their shows. Jester, I've been on your shows more, but they have really good podcasts. And Michael, since you have the mic, or you're on the panel, do you want to talk a little bit about your show?
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's a political. I don't want to just say political. We talk about a few other things, but it kind of revolves around politics. I'm a conservative person. The show's called Real Conservative Talk. Just kind of giving an analysis of all the current events going on. I am usually on at 6 Central. I'll be on at 6 p.m. Central today, so here in about an hour and 15 minutes. And yeah, come check it out. And everyone has a voice. That's something I always say. I don't care if you're liberal or I think Bob Remue's been in there. I think Chill Will may have been in there. Jester's been in there. Everyone knows if you want to call in and have an opinion, you're more than welcome to. But yeah, I'll be on here in about an hour and 15 minutes from now.
Okay, thank you. And again, Jester's show is usually in the evening. If I'm correct, Jester, you're on the East Coast. But he has various topics that he talks about also. So you guys, just so you know, that those are the shows, that are out there. So thank you to everyone for coming on. Again, I say my show does not work without you, and I appreciate all of you very much. And Frankie and Juju, thank you very much for the Podbeans and the Super Chats. On that note, speak your truth, go where the wind takes you, and I hope to see you guys tomorrow to support Bob. Bye. And Bob, people are going to show up for you tomorrow. They will.
So it's Bob on the show tomorrow?
He is hosting the show tomorrow. He is his.
Oh yeah, I'm not
topic.
coming. I'm definitely not coming. I'm not.
Oh, chill! Come on, chill.
No, I come, bro. Y'all gotta make sure y'all remind me sometimes, because I work, and so I'm kind of at work while I'm on.
I will send you a reminder.
For it. Like if you hit me at like around 3:30 or 4, I'll feel like, okay, cool, I can love it. It's awesome show, yeah. Awesome show, everybody.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you. Bob, don't worry, they're going to show up for you, and Chill's going to be one of the main ones talking. You wait. You wait and see. So, everyone, thank you so much.
I'm coming with my shirt off, though. You better be ready. I'm going to have my shirt off.
You can have your shirt off then, but when we do our show on Saturday, please put your shirt on. And Frankie, again, thank you for all of your support. And Juju, thank you for being my admin. Thank you so much. And thank you for being willing to be our admin on the Friendly Differences show. So we have to go over a couple of things with you on that, but thank you. And I'm just going to groove to the music until it goes off. Okay, y'all. Enjoy the rest of your day or evening. Bye.